All right. You can see and hear me, let me know. And we're going to get this thing started. Let me see if I can do this. I see people coming in. Give me 1 second. I want to see if I can make this public. All right. All right. Cool. We are going to get started. I'm at the house doing it today. I think this is going to be good. Uh, Hello. And as we come in, if you can share, that'd be great. As we come in and try to talk and try to get this going tonight. And so we want to definitely share that. We are live in living color. And so I want to make sure that we do this. And no matter where we watching from, we're going to do this tonight and we're going to have a conversation. I think it's going to be good and it is going to be great. And so I'm excited about it tonight. I'm excited about it. So as we do jump in, hopefully we will see individuals come in the room and we will have a conversation. And so I'm excited about any time the opportunity of sharing anything. So we are going to have a conversation and we're going to do this. And so let's try our best to share this everywhere we can. And we're going to get it going. I think it's going to be good as we get into this conversation. We are going to be good. All right. I see the both mothers and individuals coming in. And so we just excited about it. I think tonight going to be good. I think the conversation is going to be well. And I'm hoping that you all are ready to have a conversation and we're going to really get it going. And we're going to start in just a moment, just letting some others get in and we're going to talk. I'm going to give it like 30 more seconds and we really going to dive into this. We are going to talk tonight. Hello, hello, hello. Mm-mm-mm. All right. So let's get going. So as y'all come in, let's try to share this as individuals come in. But I want to talk tonight and we're going to really keep it going. We're going to push it through. And I'm excited about all that God has allowed us to have. Again, this is episode number 3, and we're going to keep the episodes going. We're going to keep pushing these episodes because they are important to keep pushing. And I think it's going to be really, really good in this. And as we dive into this conversation, I really believe that it's going to be helpful to some people that have been in the season of trying to figure it out, trying to figure out the next season of their lives and trying to make some things happen. And I think it's so important that we really have this conversation. and that we really focus on building um, in these seasons of understanding the delays and the development seasons and things like that. So, what I'm doing right now, I am going to share this to help some people out because I think that tonight is going to be good. So, welcome to 3D Perspective Podcast, and tonight is going to be another one. This is again we pushing it through, and we're going to make sure that all of us and individuals that are coming in and that are going to be a part of this season of conversation is going to be impacted in many ways that will that I my hope and desire is that that we'll go to another place and another level that we all do so because the 3D perspective is about understanding and having the right perspective about life. Understand that we are definitely in a season of discovery, that we should be developing ourselves and being deployed in our area of life. That is the ultimate goal. That's what we are, and that's what 3D podcast, 3D perspective podcast is about. So this is the conversation we're gonna have, and we're gonna dive into this. All right. So do me a favor. I want you just to write in the comment that you're ready to talk, and we're gonna really get into this conversation, and we are going to really push through this 3D perspective. If you're ready, say I am ready, and we're gonna jump into the conversation. We're gonna jump in the conversation, get myself ready, setting myself up, because we're gonna dive in this. All right. So let's get into it. Let's get into it. Now, here's my challenge that as the conversation is going forward, I want you to write something. I want you to comment about something. I can see you guys' comment. I can see my wife says she's ready. So we're gonna get in my mother. She said good evening. So we're gonna get into this. I think this is gonna be good. All right. So let's dive into this. So in one of the things that I was really having this conversation, and I was praying about some things to talk about, especially when it comes to the season that we're in. Okay, I see him popping in. We're ready. We ready. Awesome. Thank you, Bishop Jewett and my cousin Jennifer. We are ready. So let's get into this. So I was really praying about some things as relates to this season and some things about this conversation that we need to have when it comes to life and perspective and where God has taken us and what God is doing and all of these different things. And one of the things I really started to really pay attention to that I think was so important is understanding like the importance of delays and developments and the importance of those seasons. And sometimes these seasons in lives that we are in, we tend to find ourselves misunderstanding them, misunderstanding the seasons that we're in, misunderstanding the timing that we're in. And so tonight I want to start this conversation off, and I want to start with this thought. Delay doesn't mean denial, it means development. I want y'all to put that in a comment. Delay doesn't mean denial, it means development. Delay does not mean denial, it means development. When you think about like life from a biblical perspective, when you use like the Bible to help you understand this, you realize that when when God spoke to Habakkuk, told him to write the vision, make it plain upon tables. And then he says in verse number 3 that though it tarries, wait for it. But when it surely comes, he was saying that it won't tarry. In other words, though it seems like it's a delay, you got to learn to wait. And what what I love about that is that he says that it looks like a delay, but really you waiting on it is a process of development. So he's saying that it looks like it may be a denial, but it's really not a denial. It's nothing but a delay because delay is the process of development. And so it does not mean that we are denied something. It means that we're in a season of development. So we're going to really talk about that. And here's the thing you got to understand that the space between this is something that really rattled my thoughts. The space between vision and manifestation is called development. Okay. So the space, all right. So you have the starting point is vision. and then the ending point is manifestation. Between the start and the end, it is something called development. That the space, a lot of times when we are desiring for the manifestation, but we miss the understanding that vision, it is the starting point, but we got to go through the process of development. And that is something that I realize, like, through life, we don't really understand. We don't wrap our mind around that because we feel like that the moment we see it, we got to have it. But there is a process. There's a process of development. There's a process called waiting. It's the process. And so I really believe that God oftentimes slow things down in our life to help us. And I think that's a real thing. God often slow things down in our life to help us. He does that because he says, I want to help you become the very person and the very thing that I've called you, but you can't become that without understanding that delay is needed for development. And so we want to really dive into this. And so I really want us to really wrap our mind around that, that some of us that are even listening now or listening later, we often struggle with that because we feel like that whenever time plays a factor in the process of purpose or in our purpose, we feel like we're going to miss some things. What I mean by time plays a part of that, meaning that the moment it seems like it's taking longer than we anticipate, then we end up going through a season of denial, a season of frustration, when we got to understand that it's a part of the process. So here is something that I want you to put in this comment. Okay, I want y'all to blow the comment up with this. Let's see how truthful we gonna be, because I can read them right here. Let's see how truthful we're gonna be. Delay really reveals what's really in us. Okay, so when we go through a season of delay, it really reveals what's really in our hearts. It reveals our impatience, it reveals our trust, it reveals our expectations. So when we go through a season of delay, that really, like, starts to reveal the very core of our heart. Let's just be completely honest. Like, if somebody have to wait for something, it exposes the nature of what is really in them all this time. It exposes that. And a lot of times God will use those seasons of delay and the season of development to really expose that part of our life that we tend to struggle with, that we tend to wrestle with. And so this is why it's so important of having them. This is why it's so important that God used these seasons of delay and in the season of development to help us through and help us push forward so we can really become all that he has. And so tonight, I really believe, and this is one of the things I want y'all to put this in the comments. I think it's good that I want you to grab a hold of that delay is necessary. I want you to put in the comments, delays are necessary. Delays are necessary because they are part of transformation that I cannot transform without going through the season of delays and developments so that we can become the fullness of all that God has ordained for our lives. So we have to go through that. So delay is a part of the process. It's a part of the life that we need to operate in and to function in. And so this is really going to be good. So here it is. So I really want to help us all tonight. I really want you all to leave with a deeper revelation and a deeper understanding of the seasons that we are truly in. And so here's a point that I want to share tonight. And I really want us to walk through this because, again, a part of the 3D perspective and a part of where God has really laid on my heart is for us to really grow and mature and for us to really develop. And a part of that is understanding how these things work. Okay. So here's the first point. I want y'all to blow it up. And I'm first person I see put this in the comments. I'm going to put it on the screen so people can see this. Here it is. Development. If you want to see development in your life, you want to see God shifting you and moving you, development starts with disruption. Okay. So when God is developing you, it starts with disruption. Somebody put that in comment. I think that's really good. Development starts with disruption. And so development starts with disruption. And that's a big term. It's a big term because we often don't understand that when God wants to transform and to change us and to move us and to mold us, he has to disrupt our life. I was preaching at a church this past Sunday, KLM, Pastor Dorian, um, Parker Sims, Kingdom Life Ministries. And she said something that was very, in that message, God was speaking. And in that message, we talked about disruption and how when Jesus was teaching, there it is. Thank you for putting this on. I'll put it right on the screen. When Jesus was teaching, and this Luke chapter 5, he was teaching, and the crowd grew so big that he get on top, get inside of the boat of Peter. And after, during that whole time while Jesus was teaching, Peter was washing his net, getting ready to go home, and Jesus disrupts him, meaning that he messes up and he disrupts the system that Peter is used to share a word, but not knowing that disruption was going to be key for his life. And so sometimes what God does is that when he wants to start to develop you, he disrupts you. He changes your process. He shifts your expectations. He causes the things that you have desired not to show up when you want to, the things you plan for. I mean, there are many times in our lives we have planned for many different things. I mean, we were I remember, oh my God, this was about a few years ago. We were planning to go to Florida, and everything was messed up. I mean, my wife ordered some birth certificates and has to try to have all this stuff in the line in order to have, because for our children. And all of a sudden, in the middle of that, the stuff didn't show up on time. And I had to share with her, like, that was a disruption. She was frustrated and what was going to happen, not knowing that we were going to be fine. And sometimes those disruption comes in our lives and it messes up our plan. And here is something you got to know, that whenever God is going to disrupt your life, he doesn't just disrupt your life to mess it up. He disrupt it so he can align you. And it becomes sometimes a little bit difficult to understand because we feel like, God, why are you leaving me out here like this? Why is it just feeling like I'm just out here just to be out here? And God is saying to so many of us that are even listening now, that when I disrupt your life, I'm disrupting you because I'm trying to process you. And here is the thing, sometimes what feels like a delay, God is applying pressure to shape something better than what we can imagine. And that comes through disruption. That comes through disruption. That means that God is saying, here, every plan that you ever had, every dream you ever desired, everything that you have set out to do, when I am coming to shift your life, when I'm coming to develop you, I disrupt everything that you've ever known. And that, I'm talking to somebody that's listening now that have felt like, man, why does it seem like my life is just every time I plan to go back to school, or I plan to do these things, it does not go the way I intended. It's because God says I have to disrupt your plans because I'm getting ready to realign your life. Here is something I want you to catch. Disruption isn't working against you, it is forming you. Disruption is not working against you, it is forming you. Meaning that when God is disrupting your life, he's not trying to work against you. What he's trying to do is use that to form you, to shape you, to mold you so that you can move forward. And when God does that, it feels like delay. It feels like these things are not going to come to pass. It feels like I'm not going to accomplish these goals. And this is why it's so important, so that you can know the season that you're in. Because when you know the seasons of the plans that you have and God shakes them up, you don't become weary. You understand that this is a season that God has you in because he's trying to shape you. He's trying to mold you. He's trying to form you. This is like Jeremiah 18 when the potter was on the wheel. I mean, the clay was on the wheel, and the Bible says that as the clay is being shaped, it started to be disformed. So the potter has to break down the clay again to reshape it. This is what it does. It's like you're being shaped by the world. You've been shaped by the system. And sometimes God has to disrupt your figure, your shape, your form, so that you can be remolded the way he intended. That's good. Yes, he is forming you. He is forming you. And some of you, this is what it's been feeling like for the last, what, 10 years? Some of you, 10 months, 10 days, 10 minutes. You have been feeling like my plans are being disrupted. But God is saying, I'm disrupting it because I'm trying to develop you. I'm trying to shift you. I am trying to form you. So delays, when they come in your life, development starts with disruption. Here's a second one I think is really good tonight. If this is blessing you, I want you to let me know that you're getting something out of this conversation. Here's the second thing I want you to get, okay? Formation, whenever God is like developing you and forming you, formation feels like frustration. That's real good. Formation, like when he's shaping you and molding you, it feels like frustration. It feels like it ain't work. It brings frustration in your life. In other words, like whenever you are going through a season of frustration, it feels like fire. It feels like like things are not in alignment. And that's because God is forming your life. See, I want to say this: formation doesn't feel like fruit. It feels like fire. It's like ain't nothing being productive. It feels like I'm not producing anything. And it's because whenever frustration comes in your life, it is an indicator that there are some changes that are needed. I like saying it like this: frustration is the tension between who you are and who you're becoming. Okay, frustration, like when a person becomes frustrated, it's the tension between who you are in the present and who you are becoming, that you get so upset. Like whenever that comes in, that friction comes in your life, it's because you're wrestling between the present you and the future you. And God is saying that that's an indicator that there are things in your current life that need to be ripped up so that you can become the future you. That's really good, I think. I think that's really good. I think somebody is gonna really receive that. That anytime you feel the level of pressure that comes in your life, that is letting us know that there are some things that God is trying to break up. He's trying to shift. And here is the thing: whenever that frustration comes in your life, you don't run from it. Watch this. You don't run from it. You run to it. And how do I run to it? I run to it by identifying what is the area that I am wrestling with. What part of my life I have not let go of. See, when God brings delay and he brings you into a season of development, he's trying to get you to eat. Watch this. He's trying to get you to no longer become comfortable with the life you used to have. And he's trying to pull you out. And sometimes that does not feel good. Sometimes that does not feel the best. I love that. Yes, my wife said it. Frustration is the tension between who you are and who you are becoming. It's hard. It's a battle within yourself of trying to overcome that part of your life. And a lot of times, here is the catch. When that frustration hits you, the enemy wants you to quit. When that frustration hits you, the enemy wants you to say, that's enough. That's it. I'm not doing it no more. When that frustration, when that level of pressure hits your life, the enemy is saying to so many of you, I just want you to throw in the towel, because that tension does not always feel good. And I think that this is the thing we have to identify as people that are trying to become all that God has destined. We have to identify the reality that if that level of frustration comes in our life, we cannot do what the enemy desires for us to do, is quit. We must recognize the areas of our life that need to be, that is trying to be shaped, trying to be molded, trying to be shifted. Because be honest, here is something that I think is good. To be honest, development does not always look like growth. Development does not always look like growth. I want you to put that in the comments. Development does not always look like growth. Development, whenever God is trying to develop you, sometimes it looks like brokenness. Sometimes it looks like failure. Ooh, ooh, my God. Sometimes it looks like defeat. Sometimes it looks like going back. But God is saying, if you trust the process and go through it, you'll realize that all I'm doing is shifting you. Because God, here's a catch. Whenever God is developing you, it does not always look like success. The part of our hearts, we feel like that development should look like success. In other words, here it is, because we think that getting a good job is part of the development. But sometimes God will put you on a job you don't like. Sometimes God will allow you to go through seasons of silence. Sometimes God challenge you to wait when you feel like you should be moving on. Sometimes he stretches you in seasons. Sometimes that growth does not always feel good. It feels like pressure. It feels like resistance. It feels like refining. It feels like God is stretching you beyond your capacity. And that's because that when that frustration comes, he's bringing tension so that growth can take place. Here's something crazy. My oldest daughter, she brought home some plants, and some plants. There are some lima beans, I believe they're in there, and they are in the pot. And when you put them in a little pot thing they bring home from school, put water in it and things like that. And it's funny because one of them, there's a little bud that's trying to come out of the dirt, and realizing that that pressure that plant has to go through in order to come out, that if you try to help it, it can end up killing it. That it has to go through the pressure of coming out of the dirt in order to become strong, the roots to become strong. And sometimes we feel like we need help. And sometimes when God is really developing you, you go through a season where it feels like no one is there to help you. No, no one is there to help you go through the process. And that is because sometimes that pressure has to come, that friction has to come, that frustration has to come so that it can build in you the capacity, the strength, the endurance to be able to go to the next level. I'm sharing something tonight. I really am. I'm sharing something tonight. I'm sharing something tonight. Growth doesn't always feel good. And God's greatest work that he does in his people is through pressure. Like we have to learn how to not mislabel certain seasons. We often mislabel seasons like we're stuck when God is saying, I'm just processing you. I'm developing you. I'm shifting you. I'm molding you. Yes, he is increasing our capacity. Prophetess Antoinette, yes, he's increasing our capacity. And this is the challenge that we have to learn to trust the process, even when it doesn't feel productive. We have to trust that process, even if it feels like we're not making it or we're not producing anything. Sometimes production is not always visible. Can I say that again? Productivity is not always visible. There are some things in your life that is going to be produced. Watch this. And it may not be visible to the naked eye. It may not be tangible, but God allows us to go through these seasons of processing and development because he understands why it is necessary for the believer. He understands it's necessary that we become all that he has destined. I think I'm sharing something tonight. Delay is not denial. It's God still working. Delay is not denial. Development is not God just stagnating you. It is a season where God is saying, I'm working on you. I'm developing your capacity. I'm shifting your life. I'm positioning you so that, watch this, so that when I send the blessing or I send the next thing in your life or I send those stuff, it will begin to push you to the next level. You'll be prepared for it. You'll know how to handle it. You'll know what it means to be able to move forward. And that is what God is saying to you. I hope this is a blessing. Mm. Yeah, I didn't expect this on tonight. We didn't expect this because we don't understand. We fail to realize the value of delay. I mean, sometimes it feels like we should be further along, but God is saying that no, I got you right where I need you in the season of delay. Here was another thing that I want us to do. I want somebody to put this in the comment because I'm gonna put this on the screen. Here's something that we have to be good at. We have to stop looking for the stage and start looking for the soil. We have to stop looking for the stage and we must start looking for the soil. We have to stop focusing on platforms, focusing on stages, focusing on all of these different things in our life. We have to stop that. We have to stop that simply because when we understand that the season God has us in, we don't become frustrated with it because we understand whenever God positions us and prepares us, we got to understand the value of the soil. We can't keep wanting platforms and not wanting to be planted. Because when God plants us, he is developing and positioning us so that when it's time to be visible, we've already had sustained the roots in our lives. And most of us, God is saying, no, I need you to be planted. I need you to be planted. Being planted doesn't mean being stuck. It means being secured. I need your life to be secured. And oftentimes we think security is a platform. Platforms are temporary. This is crazy. If you really think about it, okay, think about it. Years ago, like everybody loved Denzel Washington. Like, well, not everybody, but a lot of people like Denzel Washington as an actor. And he made movies over the years, but he's coming to a place where he's making less movies and coming up to retirement, where he's going to be stopping making movies. That he was on a platform for a season and for some time. And that even though he still is living, that platform is going to end up going away. And a lot of us, we're chasing temporary success. And God is saying that what is your life going to look like when that platform is gone? We work hard for the platform, but we don't work hard for, watch this, to develop our character, to develop who we are. And God is saying, quit chasing platforms. Start looking for soil. Start looking for the seasons of development. Because a lot of times, if you resist the soil, you will forfeit the fruits that are supposed to be produced in your life. When you resist soil, because soil is necessary for fruit to grow. You cannot grow, well, the way the world is now, you can put manufactured fruit. You can put science and not have the need for soil to grow fruit. But our true organic fruit is, watch this, needs soil. And this is the challenge that we have. This is the challenge that we have. I see some comments here. Yes, start looking for the soil. Start looking for the soil. It's good to see you, Pastor McKinley. Thank you for jumping on. We have to start looking for the soil. And that is the season God has as many of us in. Because hear this, soil is private. Soil is isolation. Soil is being by yourself. Like when I say by yourself, meaning that you're not in a public view. And some of us, we're running for the public view and not knowing that we need a private life. We need to develop our private life. You can ask David. David, he was anointed king, but still had to go through the season of being in the field. Joseph, he was appointed the second in command, but he still had to go through the process of development in the soil, in the season of the prison, the season where he was working as a slave. He had to go through that. Jesus spent 30 years of his life in private. You only heard, based on scripture, 2 events that was publicly viewed in his life. Actually 3. He was born. That's when he was in the manger. When he was 2, when he came down at the age of 2, and when he was 12. That was only 3 events you've seen him. But until he was 30, that was called private development. So if those people in the scripture went through that, why do we think that we can be exempt from that? There is still a need for private development. We have to have it. I want you to put in the comments, I have to look for the soil, not the platform. I got to look for the stage, not the platform. I have to look for the stage, not the platform. I mean, not the stage, but I got to look for the soil, not the stage. And that is a challenge that we have to have so we can become all that God has called us to become. This is good teaching. This is good because a lot of times in this season of our life, we got to be okay with the season of delay. It don't feel good, but it's necessary. It's frustrating, but it's necessary. And this is the season God has many of us in. He's saying, I just want to develop you. I am trying to shift you. I am trying to mold you. I am trying to prepare you for the next place. Mm-mm-mm. He's trying to develop those roots. So he's trying to develop that part of your life. Mm. It may not be what you want, but it's showing up what you need. It may not be the things that you have said you were going to have in your life, but it is surely what you need. And in these seasons, this is where the best part of your life is developed. You don't live your best life. Can I say this? You don't live your best life on stages. You live your best life in the soil. Your best life is in the soil. Because when the stage is gone, when the lights are gone, when the cameras are gone, when the money ain't there, what is your life going to look like? I think I'm sharing something tonight to help many of us. So here's a few things I want to help you with tonight. It's good to see so many of y'all on here. It's so many. It's so good to see you on here. Here is something I want you to help. I want y'all to put this in a comment. Be my help tonight. Be my help tonight. Be my help tonight. Here it is. You ready for it? These are things we need to avoid in the season of development. I'm going to give you some key things that I need you to avoid in the season of delays and development. So here's some key things. Okay. Some key things. Here it is. It's good to see y'all on here. The first key thing you need to avoid in the season of development, here it is. You need to avoid comparison. Somebody put that in the comments. You need to avoid comparison. Rachel, it's good to see you on here. And it's good to see you on here. Sister Latrice, it's good to see you on here. It's good to see so many of you on here. You need to avoid comparison. You need to avoid comparison because that is a big killer. The reason why we are not becoming is because we keep comparing. Don't measure your pace by someone else's platform. I could be done right there. We could be through. Thank you, Sister Darlene. Avoid comparison. Put it back up there real quick. Avoid comparison. Let me say it again. Don't measure your pace by somebody else's platform, because comparison will cloud your clarity. That the moment you compare your pace, your progress, this is good, to somebody else's platform, it literally will smother your growth. A lot of times we tend to become frustrated because we have been doing this for years and it seems like it's taken us longer to get there, but the person down the street only did it for 2 weeks and they went further than we did, and we become upset. The moment we start to compare ourselves and our walk and our progress and our growth to someone else's, that means that we're desiring what they have. We desiring what they have, and that is a dangerous level of life to be on, that we tend to run after somebody else's platform. We got to avoid comparisons. Good to see you, Auntie Nitra. My aunt is on here, y'all. We got to avoid comparison. Because in this season of your life, here it is, you cannot keep running after somebody else's blessing when there is something God already has prepared for you. You have to run after what he has put in your hands, what he has positioned you to have. You have to run after that, because that is what is assigned to your life. I hope this is good. Got to avoid comparison. Here's the second one. Put this in the comments. Help me out. Avoid isolation. These are things you got to avoid in your season of development. Avoid isolation. I'm going to help you with that, okay? Avoid isolation, okay? The enemy loves to isolate you in seasons and hidden seasons so that you will become self-destructive. What do you mean avoid isolation? Meaning that there are seasons where God will silence you or pull you into a private life where you're not visible and mainstream to everyone. But that season of your life does not negate relationships and connections and certain people that God has. Thank you. Avoid isolation. That means that when God is saying, "Hey, I need you to be isolated, separated for a season," it does not mean that there is no connection. Because a lot of times when we isolate ourselves without clarity and without understanding, uh, um, without understanding where we're going, we end up positioning ourselves to self-destruct because we don't have support. Because sometimes that when we avoid isolation and we end up in that season where we start to isolate ourselves, we end up positioning ourselves where we self-destruct because our minds are not processed. We were built for relationship. There are seasons when God is saying, I may need you to separate from certain people, but he always position you for someone. We got to avoid isolation because a lot of us, we end up falling in this season. It's like a person that's trying to overcome a certain habit in their life and they think they can do it by themselves. You can never do it by yourself. God has always associated growth and development to certain relationships. We got to avoid it. Stay connected to healthy voices in your life. That's good. I love this. That's why it's important to have those people around you that hold you accountable and pray for you. Yes, you got to avoid being by yourself. You got to have healthy voices, not everybody voice, but healthy voices in your life. Here's another one. You ready for it? I got two more for you. Here it is. Somebody put it in the comment. Help me out. Avoid complaining. That's a cousin word for somebody. Avoid complaining. Avoid complaining. If you are going to develop in this season, you must avoid complaining. It's good to see you on here, Apostle Wine, Apostle Bean. It's good to see you. Yes, sir. Avoid isolation. That's good. That's good. It's good to see you on here. But you got to avoid complaining. Complaining about where you are, keeps you from learning what seasons is meant to teach you, what this season is meant to teach you. And that is the thing that I realized, is that the more you complain, the more ignorant you become to the season that you're in. Every season has a lesson. And a lot of times when we complain, we end up missing a lesson. The thing you need to wrap your mind around and you need to ask yourself in this season, is what is the thing that I need to learn? Because a lot of times whenever complaints becomes prominent in a person's life, that mean that they're focusing on the problem more than the promise and the process. Sometimes you'll end up keep going in circles because you are avoiding. That's good. You end up avoiding the real situation. Oh, you come. Oh, why is this always happening? Why am I always keep going like this? Why is it always? Why is it always? Why is it always? I don't like this. I don't like this. And God is saying, you're missing the lesson. You're missing what I'm trying to teach you. You got to avoid complaining. Jesus Christ. You have to avoid complaining. Yes, avoid complaining. Avoid complaining. I see them. Avoid complaining. Don't allow your mouth. My mother used to say, don't allow your mouth to write a check and then she say a word and then she delivers. So she'll talk like that. Don't let your mouth write a check that yourself can't cash. Don't allow what comes out of your mouth to write checks in your life that end up getting you in a position where you cannot cash those things. And God is saying, that's what he's saying in this season. You got to quit complaining, because some of us, we keep allowing our frustration of a season to miss the favor of that season. That just blessed me. We keep allowing the frustration of that season to make us miss the favor that comes from that season. Can I say it one more time? We keep allowing the frustration of that season to make us miss the favor in that season. There are favors, blessings that are tied to the season, but we miss it because of the frustration. And that frustration leads to complaining. Jesus. Miss Aaliyah is on. Miss Aaliyah, it's good to see you. Glad you're on here. I got one more for you. Here it is. One more for you. One more. You ready? Here it is. Avoid shortcuts. Somebody help me out. Put it in the comments. Avoid shortcuts. We have to be mature enough to not avoid the shortcuts in our lives. That is a reality, and that is a message that we often don't wrap our mind around. We have to avoid shortcuts. Anything gained prematurely will require energy to maintain that maturity didn't build. Anything that is made and developed prematurely will require energy to maintain that maturity didn't build. What do you mean by that? If I got it before my time, it's going to require another level of energy, mental capacity, knowledge to maintain that I have not developed in my life. That becomes a dangerous thing. A lot of times we're looking for the end. And God says, I got to let you go. I can't allow you to go through shortcuts, because if watch this, if I allow you to go through shortcuts, you're going to allow your premature knowledge to mess up a mature thing. And that becomes the dangerous thing that a lot of us that are creative, a lot of us that are business owners, a lot of us that are leaders, a lot of us that are ministry on, leading ministry, whatever that is, we love shortcuts. But the fact of the matter is, learning and avoiding the shortcuts creates stability in your life. And that is what we need. We need stability that does not, watch that, that stability does not come from premature gains or shortcuts in our life. It comes from a place of being processed. This is good. This is good. We got to avoid the shortcuts, because shortcuts will lead us to mishandling the next season and the blessing that is in our lives. This is good. Avoid shortcuts. So true. So true. Have a plan. You got to have a plan. It is important. We have to avoid the shortcuts in our life. That when God is saying, hey, I'm sending you through a season of development, a season of delay, we can't allow everybody else to give us the answer. Some of us, we seek out everybody else for the answer instead of us praying and asking God to reveal that answer. We try to find that answer. Why am I always going through this? And then when people, here's the crazy part, when people don't say the thing that we want them to say, we go try to find somebody else to speak that and to share the thing, or to say the thing that we desire. And that becomes a very dangerous thing in our life. And that causes us to miss blessings, because we are trying to avoid the shortcuts. But I want you to put in the comments and say, I can't avoid the shortcuts this year. I got to go through the process. I got to go through what God is causing for me to be developing. I have to be willing to go through that process, because that's where the true me is when I'm willing to go through that season of my life. Jesus. I hope this is good. I got to avoid those shortcuts. I want to make sure we got it. I want to avoid them shortcuts. So let's go from the top. What are the things we need to avoid in the season of development? Number one, avoid comparison. We have to avoid comparison. Don't measure your pace by someone else's platform. Don't measure your pace by someone else's platform. Number two, avoid isolation. You got to avoid being by yourself, because that will end up hindering you, because the enemy wants to isolate you so that you could be by yourself, and that you will miss what this season really has to offer for you. Number three, avoid complaining. Don't allow your mouth to talk you out of the season of blessings and development. And number four, avoid those shortcuts, because when you avoid the shortcuts, you'll end up seeing a great fruit in your life. So listen, this is the season for you. This is the season not to be afraid of those things of delay. When God got you in the season of delay, He's processing you, He is developing you, and He's positioning you so that you can accomplish those things that He has for you. Man, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed sharing this nugget with you tonight. I enjoy this episode of number 3 of 3 Perspective, and I'm hoping that you have received something tonight. If tonight was good, I want y'all to put in the comment. Let me know it was good. Let me know that you got something. Let me know that it was good to you. I love it. Thank you for putting it all on the screen. I'm gonna throw that up there. Number one, avoid comparison. Number two, avoid isolation. Number three, avoid complaining. And number four, avoid shortcuts. If this is good, let me know this was good. That's it. This is good. Yes. We got to avoid the shortcuts at the age. Yes. No matter how old or young we are, we got to avoid the shortcuts. I'm telling you, this is going to be a good season. This is a great time, and I promise you, if you keep pushing through it all, you'll end up getting to the other side. And the other side, there's great things, great blessings over there. So listen, I enjoyed it tonight. I appreciate everybody, and I'm telling you, when we jumping into the month of June, it's gonna be really, really good. I'm truly excited about what is gonna happen through this podcast. We're gonna ramp up some more knowledge and wisdom to help you along your journey, and so that you can become all that He has. I told you, remember, this is a teaching in a platform in a community that is simply about helping you discover your purpose, develop your potential, and help you deploy into your right position. And I am telling you, this is going to be those seasons. Great word tonight, right? Great word, right on time. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. God is doing some great things. Yes. So I'm telling you, stay tuned. We remember we this every other week until some things change. But I'm telling you, this is going to be good. Y'all make sure do me a favor if you can before we exit out of here, do me a favor. I want you to go to YouTube, and if you haven't followed my YouTube channel, do so because there's going to be some stuff that's going to be dropping specifically on there because this community is about making sure we get to the next level and we grow and we become. And so that's my goal with this. Me and Aaliyah Lane, it's our goal is to help you get to the next level. So tonight I was rolling solo, but on the next episode, there's gonna be partnership and duality. So I'm excited, y'all. I appreciate y'all. And listen, this is our season to continue to grow, continue to become, so that we can walk in all the blessings that God has for us. All right. I appreciate y'all. Y'all stay tuned, stay locked in, and we going somewhere. And I see y'all in the next episode. Peace.